Hello and welcome to episode number 15 of the Mind Blowing Podcast. I'm Siobhan Lyon.
And I'm Paul Gill. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about goals, why it's important to have goals and to set goals. And on the face of it, it seems very obvious that you should have goals, but it's amazing the amount of people who might meander through life with no sense of direction at all.
Or they have one goal and then they stick to that throughout their life. I think a lot of people could say that we get comfortable in our jobs, in our space, in our friendships, in our families, and we don't really grow much outside of that. And we kind of tend to stick to the same job for 40 years. It's a good pensionable job.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you get that message?
We did grow up, but as I was saying in one of the previous podcasts, it's certainly changed now. Nobody expects to be in the same job for a lifetime.
Yeah.
But you see, that's very understandable how you would want that, because we have got this innate sense of, or this desire to feel safe and secure.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why we stick to what we know or what we already have.
Yeah.
It's why people stay in bad relationships. Better the devil you know.
Yes.
They don't know what you could encounter somebody worse or something worse. So we have to counterbalance this need to feel safe and secure as and against pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's very hard for a lot of people actually to move outside of the comfort zone. I know, like, when you do get settled in a job or you do get settled in a relationship, that statement that you just made there, better the devil you know, like, that is a really strong statement, and it's something that I would have lived by myself, I think, in recent years. The grass is always greener on the other side, all of this kind of crack, but I think that's the real negative messages that we get from people who have stayed, I suppose, in the status quo for their entire lives and haven't really moved outside of that.
Yeah, and again, the generation previous to ours would have encouraged you to you've made your bed, lie on it.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to get onto was goals, and I was just thinking on the way over, driving over here. I was looking at electric vehicles online, and Mercedes has got this wonderful car. I think it's a version of the EQ. I'm not quite sure what the numbers, but
does it drive for you?
It does everything. It'll make tea for you.
Oh, Jesus!
But the whole dashboard is like a computer screen. I love that. It's kind of space agey. It's like sitting in a computer driving a computer.
Prius.
Now, it's much better than a Prius. But I love that. It's like driving a shoebox compared to. It's Mercedes, for God's sake, Siobhan.
Okay.
Anyway,
point taken.
It's a gorgeous car, but it costs something that I don't know, it's 140 grand. And I don't know. So I'm dreaming of having I haven't set a goal of getting one of these cars.
If anybody wants to sponsor us, by the way,
Mercedes, if you're listening, you put a coffee maker in there as well as a tea maker. That'd be fun. But if I was to have a goal of getting that car, I wouldn't be just watching videos about it online. I would kind of go, okay, it's 140 grand. Okay, where can I get 140 grand? Can I get it incrementally? Can I borrow it? How am I going to do this? I would be sitting down and would be planning how I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And that planning is immediately moving me from where I am closer to the goal of getting the car.
Exactly.
Whereas I'm not really focusing on that as a goal.
Yeah.
Because another little voice in my head says, there's lots of other things you could spend 140 grand on, mate.
Buy a fucking house for that.
You can buy half a house. Small house, a caravan. So it's all right having goals and aspirations, and it's all right having dreams and aspirations, but you really need to kind of think, well, goals. So what's the purpose of having goals? So what would you say?
Well, I think it's to better your life. I think life is very boring if you don't have any goals, if you have nothing. Yeah. But that's me. Like, I've always been a very changeable person, Like, I cannot stick in the status quo for very long, 2.5, maybe 3 years.
You get bored.
I get bored and I need to move and I need to do something different. And I'm not scared of change because I've had so much change in my life, and I'm sure you have as well.
Yeah,
I get excited by change.
Yeah, if you're not changing, you're not doing anything.
You're not growing, you're not living, you're not loving or experiencing anything in life if you're not changing. I mean, you're going to get knockbacks and they're going to be scary and hurtful maybe sometimes, or demoralizing. But
doesn't that bring into this notion that, like, setting goals is a challenge?
Yeah.
And there's a part of you that doubts that you can achieve your goal. So don't set it in the first place. Don't tell anybody about it. Nobody knows it.
They can't know that you failed.
Yeah. So nobody knows about that goal of the Mercedes. We can edit that bit out later on.
Stop that. He's not allowed to edit that out.
It is when you challenge yourself that you do grow.
Yeah, definitely.
You learn nothing from, you learn very little from success and achievement. You learn more from your failures.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
So while it's not as nice, it's not as pretty, failing, it's definitely the way to go.
Yeah.
To learn and to grow.
Absolutely.
But in setting goals, sometimes it's preferable to set a goal out of a sense of, do you know what, I just want something, rather than being pushed into it.
Yeah.
Kind of going, my goal is I need to get out of this relationship. I need to move to a different country. You know, if things are unpalatable, if life is not nice for you where you are, instead of complaining about it, you're gonna have to set goals. Okay, so what do I know about the current situation?
Yeah. And how am I gonna change it?
Yeah. So and I suppose, what do I know about the current situation? You're trying to find facts. You know, what do I actually know? And then you can go, how do I feel about the current situation? Your emotions. And then what emotions are you looking for? And what kind of new facts would satisfy those emotions? So then you start writing in goals, because goals have to be meaningful.
Yeah.
You can't, you can write down goals and do goals just to compete with somebody. And we would have done this, like, you know, when you were kids. You know, my goal is to become full forward on the soccer team. Yeah. Because I don't want so-and-so to be full forward, because I'm better.
Yeah. Well, I think, competing is a natural form for a lot of human beings.
Oh, it is.
Like, when you think about people in all sports, I mean, what do they do when you compete? And definitely, even when I went back to college, I was competing with my classmates. I wanted to get a higher mark than so-and-so, and because it validated me, or that's what I thought. The high score was validating my ability to learn, to be qualified, or to be on that.
And did it make you feel good about yourself?
And it made me feel great.
Yeah, because you're raising your game.
I love it.
You're not just at your current level. You're raising your whole game. Yeah. And this we have this need as human beings to work, but I don't mean like work money, but to be doing stuff. To be doing stuff. To accomplish, to achieve things. Like, I mean, it's all well and good. I'd say, like, if I won the lotto in the morning, I'd go off and I'd lie on a beach for 6 months in Greece and think about what I wanted to do. Yeah. But eventually, at the end of that 6 months, you get bored.
Yeah, you have to bring me with you, because we have to continue to do our podcast.
No, we can do it through Zoom. I can just send you the link.
No, that's no fun. It's much better, Paul, if we have this whole setup on the beach.
Okay, we'll talk about that now.
Yeah.
In a while. So raising your game, always improving, always striving to be better. I think that is a worthy goal. That's a worthy life goal, isn't it?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think it's really important for you, for your vitality. It gives you life. It gives your heart and your soul life. I don't care what anybody says. It definitely drives you forward and makes you more alive. Yeah. It feeds the spirit.
Yeah, and then there's goals that you have for yourself. But then if you're part of something, if you're part of a group, even in work, teams can have goals. Yeah. But if you're part of a group of people, well, that group of people will have a goal.
Yeah. What's that theory around that? Isn't it forming, storming, norming, and performing? Isn't that the thing they say about it? When you get into a group and you're working together initially, you form the group, and then there's a storm, there's a fight, who's going to be the leader, and and then the next thing you start to normal out a little bit, and you start to talk about, well, this is the steps we're going to take to achieve this, and then you perform it.
Yeah. Well, I do amateur acting, and that's a good example of a group of people setting a goal.
Yeah.
You have this play, the director decides that you're going to do this part, you're going to do that part, and whatever, and then everybody has to learn their lines, has to fit in with everybody else, everybody's other performance interaction. And it's really, really satisfying when it all comes together.
Yeah.
When you get to do the play, and the first night, and the audience applaud, it's really, really nice, and it feels very satisfying.
Yeah.
To have achieved that goal, because you've seen it coming from scratch. The first day you were in there, and you're just sitting there reading the lines and trying to get a feel for the character. To all these weeks later, you are the character, and it's become second nature to you, and you feel really, really good. And it does imbue you with this sense of, that was a big task doing that. I can do something else now. You get this confidence.
But you did something good as well. I mean, when I go and watch a play or something like that, I absolutely love it. I mean, I think like the actors on stage, they bring such energy and aliveness and humor and all sorts of things. They stir up all your emotions. And I just think it's a beautiful gift to give to people. I mean,
It
even
is.
watching a film on TV.
Yeah.
That's one of the decisions actually I made in my life recently, is to just only have positive people in my life, like you, Paul.
Ah, thank you.
And also, like,
I'm her
watch
only friend.
positive things. He is not. That's a lie. But only have positive things or watch positive things on TV, like funny shows and that kind of thing, and not be watching thrillers that I'm like stuck to the sea, because that doesn't make me feel good.
Yeah.
You know, so people are drawn to you then because you're
Yeah.
bringing them something good and happy and enjoyable. And
yeah.
yeah.
And you see, you're drawn into the story, and even in movies, there's always a script, a sequence, like it could be the hero's journey.
Oh yeah.
Where the main
Wreck-It
character,
Ralph.
yeah,
I love it.
the main character gets wronged, or something is not right in their lives,
Yeah.
and then they have to go on a quest, and then they have a friend maybe with them, and then they're up against all kinds of things that come against adversities,
Yeah.
and then they overcome, and it's off to make the sequel after that.
I love that.
So goals give you a sense of empowerment as well, doesn't it? Because I hear so many people, and you'd hear it too, that they're blaming and blaming and blaming.
Oh yeah.
For everything that's wrong in their lives and everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a worthless game.
Yeah. It's amazing how quickly in therapy clients actually realize after one or two sessions that, you know, it is time to forgive people in their past. And when I talk about forgiveness in that, you know, respect, I don't mean you have to let people away with the wrongs that they did to you. I think it is important to confront people and tell them how you feel, because otherwise they don't know. I think most people go through life and they're oblivious about the impact they've had on you. It's how we think about it ourselves and the meaning that we give to whatever has happened to us.
Yeah.
And how we go forward in our lives that really matters.
Yeah.
We can hold on to those resentments and never move forward, you know.
And letting people know about it. I do a slightly. Sometimes I have people write letters out to somebody that's done them wrong, but don't post the letter.
Send the letter.
No,
yeah, Jesus.
I get them to rework the letter. It's like, you know, editing, and then I get them to stand up and read it out loud.
Yeah,
and I give a voice to everything.
Yeah.
Or even using hypnosis, I get them to have an imaginary conversation with the person, because often the person is passed on.
Yes.
And I let them. I kind of go, you can say anything to this person, or do anything, just because it's in the privacy of your imagination.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it allows them to get forgiveness, or because I often used to have a problem with forgiveness, I suppose, before I was a therapist, because I was thinking it's letting people off the hook. That's that. No, I'm holding on to my grudge, my resentment.
Yeah, because you don't want them to get away with it or something.
No,
it's like drinking poison and expecting them to die. You know, it just doesn't work.
Now I'm of the frame of mind that I'm not condoning anything they did or said, but I'm just refusing to allow them to have a negative effect on me anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, you know, off out of my head, go away, go away, gone. Yeah. Because the more you blame somebody like that, the more you do give your power away.
Absolutely. You've got to try and wish them well.
You see, Siobhan, there could be people sitting in therapist chairs this morning,
who
are blaming you or me for something that happened in their lives. We've no idea.
Yeah.
So when you stop the blaming thing, when you take on the responsibility, you kind of go, well, I'm responsible for how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Then you can set yourself the goal of, okay, where do I want to be? I would give this example to people. Like, I mean, you wouldn't build a house in a ad hoc fashion. You wouldn't go, I'm just going to build this room here. I'm going to build a little wall here. Put a roof over that bit. Okay, I need a loo there. No, you sit down and with somebody and you design the thing. You do the plans, and then you build it.
Yeah.
I say, like, if you told me you're going to leave this room and go somewhere, I could leave this room in a half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour, and Siobhan could be right outside the door, or she could be down out in the street. There could have been a crowd of people moving off that way. She could have been pushed along by the crowd, or could have been gone the other way. But if Siobhan says to me, I'm going to leave this space and I'm going to go to Dublin Airport, and I leave this space in a half an hour, ring Siobhan, where are you? I'm well on my way to Dublin Airport. It's no surprise, because that's what you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
So people who've got no goals are like those ones that are just kind of meandering around, pushed to and fro by life, by people, by situations, by circumstances. And that's all well and good. It's not really satisfying.
It's very unnerving, isn't it? Because then you never really know where you're going to end up. I remember a guy using the example of you're driving down the road at 90 miles an hour and you've no bloody direction. You're going to end up on the side of a mountain or some perch, like you've got to know where you're going. It doesn't matter what's in between. And if any of you have watched that film, The Secret, as well, the guy, what's his name? He wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul.
Yeah.
I love him anyway. I think he's made it. But he uses the example of the headlights of a car. You can only ever see about 200 yards ahead of you with the headlights of your car. So you cannot see the space in between. And life is kind of like that.
Yeah.
You know where your destination is. You know where you're going.
Yeah.
And you kind of know how to get there, I guess, by following the signs on the road as you go along. But you can only ever see about 200 yards ahead.
It reminds me of a very good friend of mine, Martin, who told this story from his own life. His upbringing wasn't ideal. His mother had problems. His father died when he was very young. And Martin, on this particular day, he comes out of his national school. He's 5, 6 years of age. And there's nobody there to collect him.
Oh,
he's kind of fallen through the cracks in the floorboards. His mother's gone off in the hospital or something. There's a kind of a major panic, and they forget to pick up little Martin.
Oh, God.
So Martin sits on the ditch outside of the school, and he watches as all the other kids come out and they get in cars and buses and go home, and then the teachers come out and the lock up and the lights go off, and he's sitting there, and it starts to get dark,
and nobody notices.
No, and fog comes down, and he's just sitting there, and he gets worried, he gets scared. There's sounds, there's noises, and he's wondering then, what am I going to do? And he notices this telegraph pole beside him, and he kind of goes, there's one of them outside of my house. And he thought, there's a wire that connects this one to the next one. If I keep following these telegraph poles, I'll get back to my house. That was very naive. Because he didn't realize there's lots of telegraph poles in the country. So he's very afraid because the fog has come down now and it's getting, and he kind of goes, okay, I think I can just see the next telegraph pole over there. So he picks up his bag and he runs as fast as he can. And he kind of almost like hugs the pole. And now he kind of looks back. He goes, I can't see the pole that I just left. Okay, I know there's another one on here. Yeah. And he makes his way home.
Jesus.
That way. Now, it's a very good example of how you don't need to know everything to achieve your goal. You just need to go to the next telegraph pole, the next step, and the next one. And all of these sensations, whether it's fear, lack of confidence, whatever, deal with them as they arise.
Yeah, go for it. And I really do want to encourage people to go for that today, because like every big decision I've made in my life, it's been the most scariest ones have brought me the most happiness and joy in my life, I have to say. Like I was terrified going to college, like for the first time I went back as a mature student, and I had a whole lot of really negative beliefs about myself and my ability intellectually and everything at the time. But like it's been the best thing I've ever done for myself was become a therapist.
Yeah.
Like that's really my true mission in life, or my true being, is to actually help people, and I really love it so much.
Yeah.
So if you have something, definitely go for that.
And that kind of if you don't know what your goal should be, maybe ask yourself that question: what am I here for?
Yeah.
Now, whether you believe in a God or the universe or anything else, kind of go, what am I here for? What's my purpose? What do you decide that it's some higher power that defines your purpose, whether it's you yourself? And go answer that question: what is your purpose? Why are you here? And you might come up with something very vague, but it's a starting point, and begin to work it from there.
Absolutely. A lot of people feel like, they're in, corporate jobs or something like that. They're in a job that they hate, or they don't, even just if they don't like it, they're just doing it because they need the money or they need to support their family. And they feel really afraid that they can't ever get out of that. You've got to stay in that because it's a pensionable job. You've been there for so many years, but it's absolutely possible to get out of it. I used to be a hairdresser, and I made great money as a hairdresser, actually. And it was scary leaving it, because I had set out at least 3 years where I was going to make no money. I was going to be spending money on my education. And then back then, like, we had to do so much. You'd have to work for nearly, like, the first 3 years of college, you were working for nothing all the time, like for free. You were doing placements for nothing for people. Now at least there's some pay, like, when you get into this work. You're not as dogged as we used to be.
I left a good secure job with the post office And you know, I remember.
See, good pensionable job.
Yeah, I remember my father, among others, criticizing me for that. He said, "How? What? You don't leaving that in your? What
I know.
You could
Yeah.
you can be
Don't
clicking your
leave your
fingers
good
at
job.
people." But I'm going to do a course to teach me how to click my fingers and put people into a state of trance. It made no sense. It's mad.
Yeah.
But I would never have survived doing that other job, because there was a part of me that was kind of, I suppose, it was dying on the inside.
Yes.
Because I didn't feel fulfilled. And that part, it's only so long that can go on. It would have led to manic depression.
Oh, absolutely.
And there are a lot of people who feel stuck, whether it's in jobs or whether it's in relationships or situations, that just tell themselves, well, this is my lot, I have to put up with it.
Yeah.
It's not your lot. You don't have to put up with it.
Exactly.
Purpose of life is to be happy.
Yeah.
You have to begin to do what makes you happy.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've come to the end.
We have indeed. We hope you enjoyed our podcast today,
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah, click like, share, click like,
comment,
all of these things that, yeah, whatever. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys.